Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So Dr. Richmond is running a couple of minutes late. So I will just start by saying hi. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. My name is Danielle. I am the founder of Black Women in Clinical Research. Thank you so much for joining us. So the mission of Black Women in Clinical Research is to educate, empower, support, and help Black women thrive in the clinical research industry. So I started Black Women in Clinical Research in 2019. And so far, we just have been growing in numbers, and I'm just trying to give an introduction. And if anybody wants to, jump in while we wait for Dr. Richmond, feel free. This is, we're just gonna talk a little bit. Catch up. Tell me what's going on. Anybody?
Hey, it's Rashida.
Hey, Rashida. Thank you, girl.
Hey. Look, I was trying to scoop my son out the way so he wouldn't be all up in the call, but I'm actually really excited to hear from Dr. Richmond. She was in one of the other calls that we did. She was a panelist, and her passion that came through when she was speaking about her patients and clinical research and how she wants to ensure that her patients are able to really find their way and navigate in clinical research really touched me, because you don't hear, well, I personally haven't heard that a lot from investigators. As a monitor, you don't necessarily speak to them for a long time, and some of them, don't have the time, or just are not as passionate as Dr. Richmond was when she was talking about clinical research. And then I've actually only seen 3 Black investigators in 10 years as being a monitor.
Wow.
And she is the second woman that I've seen as an investigator, as a Black woman. So this is, I'm really excited. I'm happy that she's a part of this group, and I really can't wait to hear her journey and how she got started. I've asked a few of my physician friends, like, why haven't you thought about clinical research? And some of them say it's because, first of all, they don't know about it, right? And then secondly, some of them have this preconceived notion that it's expensive as a physician to have clinical research at their site. So I'm curious to hear like her side of it and how she was introduced. And I'm hoping that she's able to kind of talk about who else she's trying to bring in as far as other Black physicians, because I really think it's needed for patients to see themselves in people who are treating them.
Definitely. I also ran into another Black PI. Her name is Dr. Gunn. She's also in Texas. So I actually introduced Dr. Richmond and Dr. Gunn to each other. And it's amazing to me with the Black women that are principal investigators that there's not some type of network, for the Black PIs, because they definitely need that support when they're at the site. So I feel like that's very important to have that support, especially when there's not a lot of people that look like you that's in the field.
Right. And, a big push from a lot of different sponsors and clinical research organizations is to try and get more minorities to participate in their trials. And I've read a few articles because I had a preconceived notion that, we just didn't participate in clinical trials. But I've seen a few actual studies that looked at participation. And from some of those articles, it seems like the issue is not participation. I think we participate at the same rate. It's about the clinicians and the site staff actually approaching patients who don't look like them. And there's some kind of disconnect there where people don't either feel comfortable with approaching their patients that don't look like them, or they, have some preconceived notion about them already saying no. So, I think it's needed. More physicians need to be in this field. I think it goes throughout each of the levels in clinical research. And so, I'm hoping that something can be built for more physicians to know about clinical research and be a part of it.
Definitely.
Hey, this is Tanya Graham. I'm just going to piggyback off of Rashida. It's funny that you mentioned, because I worked in phase 1 and now I'm in phase 2 and 3 and later phase. But I noticed more so in phase 1, as far as recruiting goes, so that's more my specialty, that there was minorities when it came to money. And I felt like physicians didn't really have an issue with approaching minorities when it came about to money, because that's pretty much the only benefit for phase 1. Versus me being in later phase, it's like I do see that disconnect. Like I don't really see minorities versus white people in the later phase research. And I just thought that was kind of strange.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this will start a network of Black PIs and help them connect with one another, and know that they have that support, and that Black women in clinical research would definitely like to offer that support to the PIs. And we also have, wait a minute, I think Toya, I know you probably didn't expect to speak, but
yes, I'm here.
So we're just kind of talking about Dr. Richmond, your total health doctor. We're waiting on her to join shortly. And I know you're connected with Dr. Richmond. So while you're on the call, if you can just explain kind of your relationship that you've had with Dr. Richmond.
So I am Dr. Richmond's research director. I navigate through the studies for her. So I find studies. I do all her regulatory, budget, and all the negotiating. Regulatory, I train the staff. So whatever she needs, so that she can just focus on being a doctor.
Sounds good. Dr. Richmond, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Yes.
Hello.
Hey. So, yes, focus so I can focus on being a doctor. Thank you for you. And that's absolutely what I was just doing. And I'm like driving home, like, oh my goodness, I'm running late. But so good to see everybody.
Well, I guess that's good, because it's letting people know the life of a principal investigator.
Yes. It's been going and going. Yep. We had our asthma study meeting today. What time was that? At 8 a.m.?
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
I probably felt like truly fell asleep at 4, but do what you got to do. So.
All right. Well, let's jump right in. So, Dr. Richmond, can you please tell me about yourself and your company?
Yes, ma'am. So I am Dr. Teriya Richmond. I am a board certified family medicine physician. I am originally from Chicago, and I always have to say this. I know people are like, why are you telling us what high school you went to? But if you're from Chicago, that's the first question that people ask is, what high school did you go to? So to make sure that we know that you really are from Chicago. So I went to Whitney Young High School, and that is the same high school that Michelle Obama attended, and we didn't go at the same time, but I always like to tell people that Black history facts. So once I finished high school, I went to a small liberal arts college in Clinton, Iowa. People ask, why did you go to Clinton? Well, I really want to go to Xavier. I really want to go to Xavier, but being the oldest of 3 in a single parent home, it was the best decision because I got a full scholarship to that college. So once I finished undergrad, I went back home to the University of Illinois College of Medicine in Rockford. And during that time, I ended up getting married while I was in medical school. Yes, Miss Monticello, Chicago, yes. So I got married while I was in medical school. And so I took a year off and pursued my master's of public health at UIC in Chicago, and then finished up my capstone and everything during residency. So I moved from Chicago to Houston to do my residency in family and community medicine at Baylor College of Medicine. So I finished up my capstone and everything my first year of residency. Finished residency and decided to stay in Houston since by that time I had a son, and it just was a better place to raise a boy. So stay here, worked at Baylor, worked at the University of Texas, mostly in women's health as an assistant professor. And then finally I went into private practice. I started out in a group for about 3 years. And then in January, I jumped out on my own into my own brick and mortar family practice. Focus really, I really enjoy women's health, but I pretty much do everything in the third ward area, which is a predominantly African-American community here in Houston. Reminds me the most of Chicago, is the closest I can get to. So yes, and so Miss Hewitt, I am of course from Chicago, but I do live around the corner from TSU. So for all of y'all that are, yes. So anyway, in third ward, in predominantly African-American community, and the practice has been going well. For the most part, we are still standing even through COVID. We have in that practice, we have our research department led by LaToya. Then we also have clinic that has full lab. We have imaging with ultrasounds, and I'm working right now to open up the spa and wellness portion of the practice. So yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, I guess you kind of touched on it, but maybe, you know, for people who are really not aware, what is a principal investigator?
So it's funny because as I was driving here, I was talking to my husband, and I always have to say, like, think about it, like a principal investigator, or even as an MD, like I have my own practice. It's like really like the boss, right? So the principal investigator is the one who is leading the study at that site. And you have to be an MD, you have to have your license to be able to, MD or DO, and have your license to be able to lead clinical studies. So anything that's done at my site is through my oversight. So if everything goes great, it's on me. If anything goes wrong, it's on me.
Okay. So how are you kind of introduced to clinical research? How are you approached?
Yeah, so I was introduced to clinical research through a mutual friend of mine and LaToya. We were actually looking to work together. We were introduced by another friend to work in the clinic setting together. And so we thought that we were going to do something together at another medical office. And that didn't work out. Long story short, this is a safe place, right? Long story short, I was trying to connect with this surgeon to use some of his space at another location. And he was a orthopedic surgeon, and he was like telling me, like, you need to do this and you need to. I said, okay, I'm not in residency anymore, and I don't know who you're talking to, but this a wrap. This is not going to happen. So we were there together, and so she's like, Dr. Richmond, have you ever considered clinical research? And I was like, no, and as many of us, especially when you're in the biology or any other sciences, you know, and we talked about this, Danielle, nobody is telling us about an opportunity for research, a career in research. Like, and I got my master's in public health, and that was never a discussion.
Wow.
So I said, oh, no, I hadn't thought of it, but, I'm open. And so she introduced me to LaToya, and that is how so the network, right? Your network is your net worth, period. And so that's how I got into clinical research.
Oh my goodness. My father is in the room. So I just want to let you guys know, forgive. I can forgive my father for what he may ask. He is like super supportive father. He makes sure he's on all of my Zoom meetings. So
oh, that's so awesome. Thank you. That's awesome.
He's truly, yes. He went and bought like all the Black women in clinical research. I think he bought the whole store. So
that's awesome.
What is your typical day in the life of a PI?
Okay, so as I mentioned this morning, I actually So I got up, worked out, and I'm just telling y'all like what, as a PI, as a doctor, as in life, a wife and a mother. So I'll tell y'all how my day went. So got up, worked out, got online for the meeting at 8 o'clock. And mind you, we also did training on yesterday for, I believe it was 4 hours on the study that we'll be participating in. So in between that, I was seeing patients for clinic. So that was on yesterday. So today we had the meeting on a Zoom, and that lasted about 2 hours. And then we'll have to circle back with Latoya. I don't know if we'll do it tonight or tomorrow about what we need to do to start to get ready for the study. So it's a constant process. We are always looking for what new studies we can be a part of. We are connecting. I'm always on social media. So I'm LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, because you just never know where those opportunities are going to come from. So I'll give you an example. I just looked on my Instagram messenger, and I have a message from a pharmaceutical company introducing, or who wants to introduce me to their product. And that's just from being present. So there's multiple parts and moving pieces to being a PI, but that's pretty much what my life is like. And when we have a rolling study, it's still very busy, but I see it more like seeing the patients, making sure that we're doing what we need to do from a clinical side. And Latoya really helps me a lot with the regulatory.
So I'm just curious, what time do you usually start your day and what time do you usually end your day?
Yeah, so I start usually at 5:30, and my day, I try my best to be in the bed by 10.
Okay. So what is the most rewarding part of your profession?
Yes, your hair is, I was going to say that, and I was like, she's going to get into the questions, but yes, your hair looks wonderful. That's what Jasmine said. I agree, Jasmine. I agree.
Thank you, Jasmine. Like, let me get it together. Like, these curls, they have a mind of their own. They do what they want to do.
Yes, well, they popping tonight. They popping tonight. So, where did I leave off, Danielle? I forgot what
We were talking about what's the most rewarding part of your profession.
Working with the people, helping our community, seeing people come in particular women, come in feeling better than when they left, and also providing the opportunity to give back in a way that even at a higher level, I should say, because I look at research as an opportunity to bring advances in medication, advances in technology to our community, which we wouldn't otherwise be able to have access to. And so that's what gets my gears going and gets me excited.
Definitely. So what is your advice for doctors who are interested in being a PI?
So for doctors who are interested in being a PI, my first response is, don't be scared. The doctors are scared, okay?
Well, why do you think they're scared?
Because we are, the way we are trained, you basically you finish your residency and you get a 6-figure job and you stay in your job until you're done. The idea of doing clinical research, the idea of opening your own practice is a bit challenging for us because, again, we just not taught that. We're not taught, and more particularly because some doctors have dads that are doctors and uncles that are doctors and mamas that are doctors. And a lot of us, we don't have that lineage. And so it's all new territory. So it's easier to say, you know what, I got my job, I'm good. And also the judgment. So I don't know if y'all know this, but there's this kind of thing with pharmaceutical companies and doctors, and depending on who you work for, you can't even you can't do studies, you can't get pens, you can't eat their lunch, nothing. And so in our minds, a lot of us working with pharmaceutical companies is considered a bad thing, or you're taking advantage. And, you know, the patients, of course, can look this up and see. And I've had doctors say to me, oh, no, I don't want to be a sub in your study. My patient would be able to look up how much money I made, and I don't want to give them a bad impression. So it's a lot of kind of psychological things that go with that. And so that's why I'm saying, don't be scared. And no, you don't necessarily have to be in your own practice to do research, but you definitely have to know who you're working for and what they will and will not allow you to do. Because a lot of academic institutions, organized medical institutions will not let you do anything outside of what you're doing in their practice. They have non-competes. So, and also too, anything that you do, if you benefit from it, and if you get any residuals or anything from that, they actually can have rights to that.
Do you think that there should be more support for doctors if they are interested in becoming a PI?
100%, and I think it starts with education. So I did a talk with a group of dermatologists. Now that's one specialty where they are in it, like they are into clinical research and they are not scared. They are participating not only with pharmaceutical companies, but products and different things like that. They have it down to a science. And one of the discussions that they were having was directed at getting more clinicians to become a part of clinical research and just educating.
Okay. So what percentage do you dedicate to clinical trials?
Of my practice, I would say maybe 20%, 25% maybe.
Okay.
Is
And
we're relatively new, so we're still trucking along. So I'm still doing a lot of clinical medicine and seeing patients as well.
okay. What methods do you use in order to introduce clinical trials to your patients?
So literature, information that they can read. Most of my patients, so my patient population is a little bit mixed. So I have a lot of entrepreneurs, professionals, and then I also have insured patients, and then I also have patients that have Medicaid, Medicare. So my patients come from all different walks of life. So when I say literature, so if it's information that I think that they will understand, appreciate, I will certainly give it to them. And then I just talk to them about what the benefits are and how they will be helping not only themselves, but also the community.
Okay. I know in my clinical research profession that a lot of the PIs said that they actually forgot to introduce the clinical trials to their patients. So I know one individual, he told me that, you know, have a pen that says, ask me about clinical trials. So it kind of puts it back on the patient. Do you think that might be a useful tool for anyone who's PI who's saying they're having problems with trying to have more patients be involved in clinical trials?
I think so. And even having, and now that I think about it, Latoya and I will talk about this too, having things posted around the clinic will help, I think, as well. So yes, little marketing tools. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what advice do you have for any patient who's considering participating in clinical trials?
I would say make sure that you are with a trusted doctor, a trusted PI, a trusted organization. Do your research and talk to other people who have participated in studies, so that they can kind of help and reassure. There's still a whole lot of mistrust of the medical community, of research, particularly in the Black community. So we have to work really hard to educate not only our patients and participants and participants, but also having them to seek out education so they can know and they can understand why this is really important.
And so what are your future plans?
Oh, I have a lot of them, but are we talking about future plans for being a PI? So my future plan as a PI is that my clinic, and it's a nice size space, so aside from being a clinic and having the spa, is to be a research center. And if anybody is if you've ever been to Houston or know anything about Houston, we have the world's largest medical center, but it's still not a comfortable place for a lot of us. So I want the clinic and the center to be a place that's comfortable, that people can come, and we'll have all different studies going on and be like the hub of research for the people.
Okay.
And do I sound like a politician? But
no. And
like
so
for the people.
right, power to the people. And I know what is your future plans? I know you said for clinical research, what is your future plans for your practice?
Yes. So I hope that one day that I will be able to have the same model, not only here in Houston, but in Chicago. So I left a while ago and I hadn't been back. I had my babies. I have 2 boys. They're 11 and 6 years old. And we just didn't see, my husband grew up in South Shore. I grew up on the West Side. And if anybody is from Chicago and knows anything about Chicago, like we grew up in the hood. Like we didn't grow up in a plush neighborhood or anything like that. So for us, taking the boys back and trying to raise them in Chicago just was not an option. However, one day they will be off on their own, and I would really love to be back in Chicago and have something like I have here in the same neighborhood or a similar neighborhood back that I grew up in back home.
Okay. So how can people reach you, Dr. Richmond?
You can reach me on social media. LinkedIn is Dr. Teriya, Teriya, and it's the same name that's on the bottom of my screen, and you can find me there. Find me with that name on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and then on Instagram, it's Dr. T Richmond _MD.
Okay.
And I have a website as well. It is www.yourtotalhealthdoctor.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Richmond. I think we're going to take some questions. I've seen people, if you don't mind. Let's see what. Angel Moses wants to know, do you think it's easier to recruit Black patients?
Is it easier than what? Recruiting other?
Easier to recruit Black patients?
No, I don't. No. Again,
what do you think the barriers are?
The barriers are one is access. Like we're just not, a lot of times are not approached about it. 2, again, you know, I know people are like, oh, here we go talking about Tuskegee, but that's what people quote. That is the recurring theme. Oh, Dr. Richmond, you know the Tuskegee experiment, you know, they injected AIDS into us. Like, no, I mean, there's all these different concerns, and I get it. And so that's why it's so important, or versus non-Black patients. Yeah, no, the other people, I don't think it's as hard because they are, a lot of times are already aware. They are the ones that are approaching about studies. We just don't know. Or it's not until we get really sick and then we get into a large system. Like for us here, we have a large cancer center called MD Anderson. So most of the time that I work with the organization for women that are surviving breast cancer. For the first time they've ever heard of a study or being a part of a research study, by this time they already have aggressive triple negative breast cancer. So they already far off into the process, and this is when, or the disease, and this is when we are being introduced to research. So no, it's not as easy, and the barriers are, health literacy, access, and then think about it. Some of us don't even have primary care doctors or don't have insurance. So I'm just talking about from a medical and clinical perspective. So we don't even have that. So how do we get introduced? And I can tell you, just because it's on the radio, or they're making these announcements, that is not attractive to us, because it's always like, well, what are you all really doing?
It's definitely true. Anytime I mention clinical research to my family, it's like, what about the Tuskegee syphilis study? I don't want to be a guinea pig. And so it kind of, these conversations that, you know, I feel like we have to have it in the community in order for people to feel comfortable, in order for people to trust us. Until we have those hard conversations, then, you know, people are not aware of the consenting process, and, you know, things where they don't know it's voluntary if you want to be involved in clinical trials. And if you don't,
Right.
you can opt out at any
And
time.
opt out.
But
Mhm.
people really don't know that. And so I think by educating a lot of people in the public, then that might be easier, or might can even start the conversations for people to even feel comfortable to participate in clinical trials.
Absolutely, I agree. And it takes us, right? Um, it takes us. Nobody is coming for us except for us. It takes us. It takes our faces in the spaces that we are in, and being able to educate and say, this is what I do. Like, seriously, I didn't know. I had to like research CRO, like what is all of this, because I never learned it. So it was on my own.
Yeah. We have a couple of questions kind of about getting into clinical research and what's the best way to get into clinical research if you have your bachelor's degree. I would say everyone's journey is different. For me personally, how I entered in clinical research is I went to clinicaltrials.gov, found the closest clinic. So say, for example, I was in Texas and I found Dr. Richmond's, you know, clinic. I would just have called Dr. Richmond, asked her, hey, can I shadow or can I do an internship? I'm interested in learning more about clinical research. And a lot of times the PIs and the staff, they're willing to help people and have them come in. It's not, you know, I think people kind of get kind of scared of doing cold calling, but a lot of times it works. Like, you have to put yourself out there. I feel like clinical research, you have to step outside of your box, you know, not the normal way to get in. So, and I felt like it wasn't the normal way for me to get in. So it wasn't until I kind of did things a little bit differently that's when the opportunity presented itself. And so from there, I was able to become a clinical research coordinator. So it just, you know, I feel like I just worked my way up, you know, making sure I'm open if a new opportunity presents itself.
Yeah,
So
you'd asked them earlier about doctors. So one of the things that I learned too is that, and I mean, I knew this growing up, but y'all know closed mouths don't get fed, right? So you have to be like your colleague over here who probably don't have even a half as much education or experience as you, and walking up and introducing himself like, yeah, and I'm interested. I need a job, or I need an internship. That's what they do. And so we have to really, really work on being a little bit more assertive about opportunities. And yeah, I know I saw you posted, hey, LinkedIn is like a
they,
place where you can go and interview. Do y'all understand how many people are in my DM? And it's not us. Hey, Dr. Richmond, can I come and meet you? Can I come to your clinic and shadow? And again, it's not us. So it's really important to do that. And I was going to say for the doctors, I forgot to say this too. When you do have pharmaceutical reps coming to talk to you, when you do have them like, oh, you know, I want to bring you lunch, like take it to the next step. If you're thinking about research, and say, oh yeah, you can do that, but can you introduce me to your medical liaison?
yeah, yeah. Spin it.
Oh, so I was thinking, you know, I see y'all have a speakers bureau. Who do I need to talk to get in so I can be on the speaking circuit? Yeah, that's what you got to do. That's what people are doing every day. Again, your net worth is your network, and the only way to build that is to present yourself and be confident, and just keep pushing it to get where you want to be.
Definitely. You have to remove that fear and step out on faith pretty much. And if
Mm-hmm.
you get rejected, it's not, you know, the end of the world. One person will say no, but the next person will say yes. So you just have to keep positively moving in the steps to get that right position that's for you. So let me see about these questions. First, Tiffany Yancey says, I work for a mid-sized biotech. How can I help recruit Black female PIs into our therapeutic area or others?
Oh, absolutely. So when there's so many organizations, but for Black Black Physicians and National Medical Association is it is a place where it is thousands and thousands of Black doctors. So you can go to the conference or ask your company to sponsor you to go to the conference and have a table or a booth and introduce yourself and say, you know, you want to help with, and these are buzzwords, right? You maybe want to volunteer one time to help with diversity and inclusion. So can you go to a conference, or can you hold a virtual panel, and will they sponsor it? Just put it out there like that, because if you're recruiting, you are recruiting us, but you also doing them a favor too. So you gotta, you know, kind of think creatively like that, because you know you want to recruit us, but you don't want to be over here getting them quality candidates, and you're not. I mean, it's okay to help. Don't get me wrong, but what I do know about corporate America is they will be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, great," and you not necessarily get anything out of it as well.
So we have another question. How do you build or develop successful network in this field? I think we kind of touched on that, being, you know, putting yourself out there, going on LinkedIn. I like to say shooting your professional shot.
That's what it was.
Don't be afraid to, you know, send somebody a message, even possibly if you're really, you know, interested in connecting with people. Sign up for that premium and just see how it works for that first month, and just see, you know, just send people messages and tell them, you know, what you're interested in. Connect with people who are on your level and on, you know, a higher level, or positions that you're interested in. It's just really about putting yourself out there and being confident and knowing how to sell yourself, talk about yourself, talk about your qualities, you know, and just let people know, I'm here. I want to be involved in clinical research. Pretty much, I'm not going anywhere. So, you know, just really just immersing yourself into the clinical research field. And for me personally, I went and I just sent everyone LinkedIn requests. I said, you know, some people are going to wonder why I'm sending, you know, LinkedIn requests, but I would follow up with a message and just tell them, you know, I'm interested in connecting and networking. Thank you, you know, for the connection. And so we would just really go from there. And so for me, I feel like LinkedIn is like a relationship. Like, you have to tell people happy birthday. You have to tell people, congratulate them on their new. So you have to build this, you know, relationship. And so that when it comes a time where you may need help, or, you know, they may seek out help from you, that you have that strong bond that it's comfortable. So let's see. Someone asks, has your clinic been approached for COVID trials now that there has been such a push to ensure diversity in the trials?
Yes. Yep. That's the next on the list.
And someone, I guess, is asking me, was I retained after the internship doing a cold call? So after my internship was about 6 months, and that's when I seeked out a position for a clinical research coordinator for breast oncology. And so that's when I felt like this was, you know, divine intervention, and this was my purpose, because my grandmother had breast cancer. So helping Black women has always been a passion of mine. So getting involved in this field was just, I don't know, it's undescribable how I felt when I finally was like, this is it. Like, when you tap into your passion, it's like no one else can, you know, you have tunnel vision. No one else can stop you from, you know, whatever you aspire to be. So
it's interesting you say that too. I heard you say that on your interview. So my grandmother had breast cancer as well. She was diagnosed at age 42. And that's why I'm really involved with an organization here locally in Houston called Angel Surviving Cancer. And that's another thing, like, volunteer, get involved. My co-advisory board member is one of the lead PIs for breast cancer research. So she is, I mean, and I wouldn't have met her otherwise if I was not on, most likely, if I were not on that board and volunteering for that organization.
Okay. Someone mentioned a key opinion leader is where it's at for physicians who partner with pharma and biotech industry. I have to look that up. I'm not familiar. What is the time frame for your site to get up and running to participate in a clinical trial?
For us, it didn't take long. we met, and then we started to strategize and like reach out and go to clinicaltrials.gov. And I want to say we got a trial with maybe like 3 or 4 months. And Latoya, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
It was about that long.
Yeah.
Okay, this another question. How do you overcome the experience factor even when you have the education and training, but no work experience in the field? I'm getting my master's in biomedical informatics, but getting a foot in has been challenging. I graduate in December. I would say, Toyin, too, if you're not already in Black Women in Clinical Research, to join. We have so many different women and members that's in the group with so many different backgrounds. So literally, you can just make a post, and anyone who can help you, it's almost like they come running to help. That's how the sisterhood that we built in a safe place, Black Women in Clinical Research, is. So definitely, I would say join, and we can definitely help. So Jasmine asks, what is a good way to help educate the Black community about clinical trials?
Well, we kind of talked about that a little bit. It's a little bit different right now because of COVID, but things like having panels and at this point virtual, and you can reach a lot of people now because everything is virtual. In doing that, in doing outreach, going out into the community, the church, going and say, hey, pastor, can I get, 5 or 7 minutes on the podium? I just want to share about something that will be advantageous for the congregation. Like, seriously, this is really what we have to do. We have to meet the people where they are and be willing to speak up and educate.
Definitely. And this is going back to Toyin. So one of the clinical research professional that does the resume reviews for Black women in clinical research told me if they ever taken care of a family member, then you have patient experience. Because a lot of times, when you're applying for the CRO, they want you to have certain skills. And a lot of times, and what I've realized, even with my own, resume, my resume didn't reflect all of the skills that I possess. And so it wasn't really until I sat down and I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, I took a CNA class, and wait a minute, I worked in the hospital. So a lot of times we possess those skills. It's just a matter of really honing in and kind of digging them out and putting them on your resume. And having those buzzwords on your resume is definitely really important also. Okay, let's see. Is there any other questions? Angel Moses, you can contact me and I'll provide more help on the website. Anyone want to ask any?
Hey, how are you doing? This is Tika Harris. I had my hand raised to ask a question to Dr. Richmond.
See that.
Of course, Dr. Richmond, you went from going to school to being a doctor to going right into the clinical research industry. I've been in clinical research 14 years. At that point where I'm making the six-figure salary, but of course, my passion when I actually went to college was biology pre-med to be a doctor. Life happened. I got pregnant, so I had to redirect my steps. I'm in the capacity now of where I am trying to, of course, helping my patients, but just sitting down looking at, trying to go back to becoming a doctor, doing the residency, and changing back over into a whole nother field. I mean, do you think it would be best to even try to make that move, or should I just keep on trudging, in this clinical research industry?
So Tika, that's a great question, right? Because with medicine, I feel like it is purpose. It's because I'm about to curse. It's not easy. Put it like that. This is a lot of hard work, right?
Right.
And if in your heart if it keeps coming back to you, that may mean that this is actually part of your purpose in life. Okay, so if you became an MD or a DO, you still will be able to do clinical research, right? So it wouldn't be a total career change. The other part of that is I went to medical school with about probably 50 people were in my classes. I went to one of the smaller campuses, and maybe 15 of us, 20 of us were restarting our careers. There was a nurse who was graduating from medical school when her daughter was graduating from college. So she had been a nurse for 20 years and went back to school to become a medical doctor. We had another guy who was a chemical engineer. He came back, and he was, I want to say he might have been in his 50s already, but he came back and came to medical school and finished. There was another young lady in our class who had 4 kids. She finished medical school. So my point is, if it's purpose in your heart and it's something that you really want to do, I really believe in doing everything that you desire and what you want to do, because, you know, we don't get another life, right? So even if you did it,
Mhm.
you tried it, and you're like, you know what, this for the birds, I don't even want to do it. At least you took the opportunity to try and do something that you feel in your heart you wanted to do. No regrets. No
Mhm.
regrets. And you can always do clinical research, and you can be a PI.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's very encouraging, because that's really what it came down to. Is, you know, just trying to restart, and basically even trying to find funding. Like, okay, I already came out because I have, you know, my master's degree. I'm in student loan debt with that. Like, how am I gonna find funding for this? So it was just a whole lot of, you know, trying to balance out and weigh different options. But that was very encouraging to hear. I really thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, y'all, this is the other thing. So I was, again, like I said, I was raised by my mom. So when I went to school, any scholarship that had to do with what did they used to call it? You in financial need or economic need or whatever. Yeah, I need it. Yeah, there was no shame in my game. I'm gonna get all these coins,
Right.
all of them. You know, you gotta humble yourself and be like, you know what? They said this is for people who don't have a father at home. Whatever, because the money is there. It's there, but you have to be able and willing to accept, okay, well, I fit this category. Let me go ahead and fill it out so I can get my money. Seriously, there was no shame in my game when it came to getting scholarships and money and standing up and saying, yes, my mother raised me by herself. The 3 of us on the West Side. Yes, I've seen people get shot and all that, everything. I'm telling it, because you know why? I deserve it. I deserve it. My mother, don't get me started, y'all, because I think about our ancestors and all they've done, the sacrifice for us to be here today. Yeah, everything that they sacrificed for us to be here today, and all the hard work and labor we put into building this country. Get your money. Like, Tika, you say you have kids. I'm telling you, there's money. There is money. There is money. You just got to look for it and fill out those applications. Be humble and get it. However you know, I'm not gonna say however you got to get it, but however you got to get it, get it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. Oh, someone said to check the sorority sites. They often have, Andrika, our admin, said they often have scholarships. So anyone else? Do we have any more questions for Dr. Richmond?
I saw someone ask if I would be interested in being on the IRB
Yes.
board. Well, tell me a little bit more. What does that mean?
So the IRB is the Institutional Review Board.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they want you to kind of, you know, a lot of times you hear about the different studies and they kind of, I guess you say like, yes, this study should go, you know, through the process, or yes, we want to be involved. So I'm not really sure. Let's see if they mention which IRB. So they want to know, does your site use central or local IRB? Toya probably could also chime in on this too.
Yes, I want to say
we use Central.
Central.
Okay. And my kind of side note, my mentor just joined, Dr. Green Parker. She just joined.
Hello.
I think she. Hi, Dr. Green. You there? Let's see if there's any other questions.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
So yes, Dr. Green helped me tremendously when I was in, undergrad, and she definitely was that person, that my go-to person. Definitely, she was there. So I would definitely encourage people to get a mentor, and really,
Yes.
like, getting a mentor and having someone guide you is definitely important in your journey in any career in clinical research. But just having that positive person in your life it makes the world of difference. Let's see.
You know what?
That's
I wanted to add something as well to what you were saying. Because of course, when I came out of college, I knew I did not want to teach biology. I knew I did not want to sit in somebody's lab counting cells. So clinical research fell into my lap. I actually went through Kelly Services that was partnered with Duke University, and I was put on a trial in cardiovascular. There was a Caucasian lady, a clinical nurse, that actually got me started in my whole entire clinical research career. So the thing about it is, even though sometimes we're not looking for it, because again, I did not know anything about it, I started to see you could get a degree in it. I started to see when she started to send me to different meetings and connecting with different people, that clinical research is somewhat of a small niche, but it's really, really big. I would definitely not burn bridges with anybody, because you're going to see that person again. And it's almost like they come full circle, whether you see them at a pharma or you can see them coming in to, be a CRA or whatever the case may be. I would never burn bridges. The other thing is North Carolina Central University has one of the first certificate programs for clinical research. I actually was able to sit on their graduation, and I was able to be a person to speak to. It was actually 15 certificate participants, and they really soaked in everything that I was able to tell them, especially when I was being interviewed. And the other thing is look for these different programs at your technical colleges, because Durham Technical Community College in Durham, North Carolina, they have programs for CRAs. There are other programs out there for clinical research coordinators. You can get certified. It is so much information out here. All you have to do is research, or me just being a part of this group, Ms. Danielle was saying, you can just throw it out there and people will run and help you. And that's what I really love about this. I've only been in the group not even a week, and I just see all of the comments, that people, oh my goodness, congratulations, you got a new job. Oh my goodness, can I get help with a resume? It is very, very awesome to see all of us just help one another, and not, because it's so much tearing down. But to be in this group, I really love the feeling. Even when I was talking to my best friend Mina, that's on the call now, she just felt the love of when she just asked for a prayer for an interview, and it was just so overwhelming for her, because these are people she don't even know. So again, just be able to research, or even, like I said, ask the people in the group. There is always somebody that is going to help you.
Definitely. And I have we've partnered with North Carolina Central University. I spoke with Dr. Locklear, and she said that she was interested for us to speak to the students and kind of giving the students
Yes, wonderful.
that real world, this is a person who has gone, pretty much, because it's a challenge. And I'm going to, clinical research is not easy. Going through and trying to navigate and figure out where exactly you fit in, it is challenging, but it's rewarding also. So let's see. Yes, people are saying this is my extended family, but I'm definitely so glad that you joined, Tika. This is really what we want to create. We want to create this atmosphere of sisterhood and a safe place where you can come, you can ask questions, and it's not the type where you ask a question is no one's going to help you. Everyone's going to come and join in and help you and try and answer the question to the best of their ability. And a lot of times too, if someone asks me a question I don't know, I'm going to find an answer. Let's see. Okay. Well, I think that's majority of the questions. If anyone doesn't have anything else, and oh, Dr. Green, you are so welcome. I definitely I appreciate you. I'm just reading the chat. So I think that's it. I want to say, Dr. Richmond, thank you so much for speaking.
Yes.
The life of a a principal investigator. I definitely hope that, I know we kind of briefly talked about, working together in the future and,
Yes.
offering clinical research, to more people. And so that this is not something that you just stumble upon. This is something that you're fully aware of it, whether you're in middle school, high school, college,
Mhm.
like this is a conversation and this is a career that's well known. And so I just want to thank you, Dr. Richmond, again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you're getting some requests to have scheduled meetings, Danielle. So is that going to be monthly? Is it going to be bi-weekly or?
We usually have our monthly meetings, which is the third Thursday of every month. So this month we're going to be talking to people who are project managers. And so these other Zoom meetings, I'm just kind of putting them in. I'm noticing with the group that there's a need for, different Zoom meetings that cover different topics like finance and, mental health. And so that's what we're really trying to do, provide a resource for everyone, to fill all areas like negotiation and salaries, and just kind of touching on every, kind of topic that is important to Black women, Black men, minorities. So I think we got a little bit. So I just want to thank everyone for joining tonight. Thank you so much. And if you guys want to join Black Women in Clinical Research, or if you want to reach out to Dr. Richmond, I'm sure she will welcome
Hey,
any.
Danielle,
Yes.
I had one more thing to add. You guys, before COVID hit, because this came up earlier, but before COVID hit, I was actually, when people were asking like, how can we get, clinical research out into the community, have it more visible, I was actually doing career fairs. I would go to my kids' school. And I would do career fairs because, of course, I'm a clinical professional. But I would have my tri board. I would go in there. I would have graphics on my board. I would speak on you need to be on this avenue in order to get into this clinical research industry, or you need because most of the kids wanted to see how much money you were making. So I would put that on the board. If you want to make X amount of dollars, you need to be able to do XYZ. I had treats for them. So just go and volunteer yourself, especially if you're already working in the field. Go out, because again, some people, they think, like Dr. Richmond was saying, Danielle was saying, they think of just Tuskegee. They think, oh my God, I don't want to be like that. Oh, well, I only know of clinical research because my grandma was in a, clinical research program. But no, you have to educate them. You have to let them know, especially if you have small kids in your family or teenagers in your family, put a bug in their ear. Let them know, hey, look, it's good money. You are helping, people prolong life, quality of life. You need to get in this industry and you need to be able to, grow. So volunteer yourself, volunteer your services. And that's all that I wanted to add is that I was doing career fairs like at the schools in order to get the information out there.
Well, definitely. I think we need to connect, because that's definitely what I'm trying to do with the colleges and the institutions. We've reached out, like the admins and myself and the brand ambassador, Jasmine. We've reached out to the different HBCUs, and we want to reach out to different other institutions to help know about clinical research. Like we really don't want this to be something that you stumble upon, and we serve as, a resource for the community, for people that are interested in the career. Why can't the CROs come to the HBCUs and other institutions and recruit people right then? So, really trying to push that, because I was talking, I can't remember off top who I was speaking with, but they told me that the CROs, they recruit very heavy in out of the country, like international, and they recruit people that don't have any clinical research experience. But a lot of times the CROs here, they want to recruit, well, people that have experience. So she was pretty much saying, why is it different over in the international versus over here? And we kind of need to bring that to the US and kind of change things. Because it's one thing to say that we need diverse candidates, but then don't hire diverse people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everyone, I think that's it for tonight. If anyone is interested in joining Black Women in Clinical Research, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn is Black Women in Clinical Research. On Instagram is BWICR20. So thank you, everyone, and good night.
Good night. Bye. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.